Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Janine Larsen, and I am delighted to be with you today. It brings back such fond memories for me of visiting this congregation in my past life as district executive and then on regional staff for the Unitarian Universalist Association. I left my Unitarian Universalist Association position in 2016 to join the University Unitarian Church in Seattle as Director of Ministries. And last June, I retired. Life is glorious. Since then, I have continued to volunteer at UUC, my church, as a covenanted community minister, supporting our Bright Clouds Zen Buddhist group, which has steadily grown as a program of the church. We have about 140 members and friends on our Zen group roster currently. We are also affiliated with the UU Buddhist Fellowship and the UU Friendly Family of the Empty Moon Zen Sanghas, founded by the Reverend James Ford Roshi, a prominent Zen teacher and a UU minister now retired. James ordained me at University Church as a Zen priest in 2019 and authored me to teach 2 years later. Looking back, I think my last visit here with you as a member of UUA staff was in October 2013 on the occasion of the installation of the Reverend Elizabeth Stevens as your called minister. I gave the charge to the congregation, a formal part of the ceremony which is meant to be a serious talking to about the responsibility of church members to uphold your end of a new shared ministry. The usual points are to appropriately nurture the many relationships that are just beginning, mindful of the need to maintain the minister's well-being, be accountable for the congregation's well-being, and serve as stewards for the future of all concerned. I noted at that time that at its most basic, my charge to you is this: make this a shared ministry that is filled with the hallmarks of this church: vibrant life and energy and joy. Well, it seems you have done well together since then. Clearly, you have managed some legacy accomplishments, not the least of which is this impressive building renovation. I cannot even believe it. It's so beautiful. Well done. Well done. And I bet that in the time you've had together, you have learned from one another in ways that will steady you in new paths and programs and dreams. Here's the penultimate paragraph of my charge to you from 2013. And when Elizabeth leaves you, as she eventually will, she and you must honor the release of a relationship that has been intimate, certainly, but is professional, not personal. When the time comes, I charge you to release her fully and with best wishes, and to turn with faith to this congregation's mission, future, and leaders to come. Well, and so now, here you are. Here we are on the cusp of that forecast parting after all these good years. I assisted many congregations through ministerial transitions in my former role in the UUA. So, I believe I can predict with some confidence that you will have all the feels as you prepare to release one another. You can expect that there will be tears. There will be nostalgia for old times. There will be angst about things you somehow didn't get to. There will be excitement for what is to come. There will be anxiety for what is to come. There may be anger, feelings of betrayal or abandonment, possibly accompanied by some surprising acting out of those hurt, hard feelings. In all likelihood, for at least a smallish group, there will be eye-rolling about all this touchy-feely stuff and impatient lobbying to just get this done. Another all too common scenario is when one or two, a few others maybe, might be secretly gleeful about the change afoot and spot their chance to hijack the process in service of a personal agenda or grievance. This can spark a movement to foment discontent, create a conflict that succeeds in diverting resources and undermining sanctioned leadership. And that kind of conflict, if not addressed skillfully, holds the potential to send visitors, friends, and even members out of the church, scurrying away as fast as they can. Worse, it can have the same effect on ministers looking for a new opportunity and spot signs of self-destructive conflict and give UUCP a pass. So I have a few words of advice. First, know that the UUA will be your ally in engaging the transition process. It is a regular, known cycle of congregational life. The UUA has a great deal of experience on how to help you conduct fruitful discernment and decision-making and rituals for the soul. Their staff and consultants can also help you spot concerns and engage them early and sensitively. Second, trust your board to set you up for success. Support them by taking the process seriously, funding it appropriately, and handling it with care. Third, trust yourselves to lead, follow, and treat one another as the truly loving and beloved community that you are. You have experience in ministerial transitions, some of you, and other types of change, all of you, even when it's difficult. Trust one another to share what you've learned through past experience, and also to consider what you need to be curious about now and adapt for these particular times and circumstances. Fourth, and maybe most important, plan a good parting with Elizabeth. Did you notice that parting has the word party in it? Honor her and yourselves for all you've created in this shared ministry. Identify and forgive one another for difficult times and experiences that didn't go so well. Remember and celebrate the exhilarating successes and surprises that you've shared. Speak directly of the pride and joy you feel for it all. Really and truly wish each other well as you step into new paths now with new companions. And then let each other go fully, Change always starts with an ending. Even change that we perceive as positive is marked by a loss of the familiar. It is part of the human condition that when we feel the groundlessness of change, we often feel and fear not just the unknown risk, but also the sense that we have lost control and security as well. Fear can cause us to cling to a familiar response or habit even if it doesn't work anymore or no longer serves us well, probably never did. Our fear can hold us captive and make us vulnerable to manipulation, as we see in the rampant consumerism that bombards us from all sides whenever we are the least bit insecure. If we just buy this one thing, or adopt this particular religion or lifestyle, all will be well, we'll be loved, rewarded, and safe. Fear can be a powerful tool of oppression, too, as we see in American politics today. When laborers fear the economy, we are a much more compliant workforce. When voters fear the enemy, we tend to choose those who promise to protect us. Uncle Sam has become a boogeyman. This leads us to a religious question. How do we de-escalate fear in our lives? And here is a religious answer: by cultivating fearlessness in the face of change. Churches like UUCP can be a place to practice a different relationship with change and fear, looking at ourselves honestly and seeing clearly how and when our fear arises and how we respond to it. With practice, we can disarm the weapons of fear inside us. We can look at change with stability, curiosity, and an invitation to insight instead of immediately running to a purchase, a packaged experience, or a new and more powerful leader who will tell us we are beautiful and righteous, or a new and more powerful leader who will exalt viciousness, violence, and othering. And as long as we follow them and rely on them, all will be well. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is simply the way of life and is largely out of our control. Our resistance to change and our desire for it is all the cause of suffering, the Buddha observed. Working positively with the reality of change is the core teaching of Buddhism. But you don't have to be a Buddhist to come and understand this, to find a way to work with fear, loss, and change. You can just be a Unitarian Universalist. Two of the major tenets I have found in Unitarian Universalism are shared with Buddhist teachings: that faith is what we practice between birth and death to get us through life with integrity and compassion for self and others, and that faith is not a passive state. Rather, faith is the state of being fearlessly alive, responding to each moment right now, exactly as it is unfolding. Faith is recognizing that what we do, how we respond, is what makes our life and the world exactly what it is becoming. Earlier this week, I happened to hear an interview on National Public Radio with author and TED Talker Bruce Feiler. He is interested in how we create, hear, and tell the stories that give our lives meaning, He has a new book coming out soon, but in this particular interview, Filer referenced his 2021 book, Life is in the Transitions, Mastering Change at Any Age. You know, there are umpteen hundred books about giving advice on change and transitions. Many of them are very good, and they're by authors of all types. But here are a few things that caught my ear as Filer talked. The concept of a life quake. He says, a massive burst of change that leads to pain and confusion, but then ultimately holds the responsibility for transition and renewal. He asserts that abandoning rigid plans for our lives will help us prepare mentally and emotionally for life quakes. The idea that we have linear expectations but non-linear lives. He says linear time was born with the Industrial Revolution and everything that went on to, assembly plants and assembly lines and deadlines and needing to be in line and all the things that keep us in line. And human lives actually do not proceed in a linear fashion with neat steps and stages. All in a precise order and timing. So if we feel like failures in a linear program and progression, we are measuring ourselves through a false narrative. Life transitions, he says, have three phases: the long goodbye, the messy middle, and the new beginning. He says, in the long goodbye, we identify the emotions and mourn the past. In the messy middle, we shed certain habits and experiment with new ways. In the new beginning, we unveil our new selves. Filer says that everyone has a transition superpower and a transition kryptonite. He recommends that you start where you are most gifted, but don't forget the other two phases that arise in individuals and in their own order. To me, these sound like pretty great practices for individuals in churches in ministerial transition. And I also note that the power of community, or Sangha, is that all three phases of transition will have enthusiastic leaders if we agree to share our own strengths and receive the work of others to help us with the hard parts for each of us. I love finding a new language to support the healthy engagement of change and transition. Hearing Filer's concepts feel resonant with the Buddhist teachings for me. All things change. Our desire to stop change or make it come sooner or in impossible ways creates suffering and dissatisfactoriness for ourselves and for others. That awareness and spiritual practice can help us identify and dismantle our own patterns and responses that cause our own suffering. Spiritual communities of support, such as UUCP or a Zen Sangha, can build focus, stamina, clarity, and consistency around our priorities and values. They can also strengthen us in courage, voice, determination, and follow-through. Just like physical fitness, spiritual fitness requires actual practice and repetition to stretch and bulk up our muscles for responsive, compassionate, nonviolent action. When we challenge our own resistance to accepting what is, when we retrain ourselves to respond wisely, skillfully, and in partnership with others to bring about transformation, we are choosing non-suffering. So blessings to the Reverend Dr. Elizabeth Stevens and to all of you, this beloved community of the UU Church of the Palouse, as you gently and lovingly move through the long goodbye, the messy middle, and welcome the new beginning. May your deeds be your closest companions, because your deeds are the ground on which you live.